This week I asked the question, what is Devin Townsend? Love, hatred, passion, poozers? Known for his incredibly unpredictable musical changes in direction, Devin Townsend has created his own sound. Yet by playing with all these different sonic landscapes and creating a veritable smorgasbord of exploration, Devin Townsend has ironically allowed the very idea of exploration in his musical repertoire to become an oxymoron of itself. Which begs the question, if you take away this idea that the theme of exploration creates his sound, what truly makes Devin Townsend sound? So buckle up and get ready for all sorts of weird and wonderful things, as this week's review is Devin Townsend's Empath. Empath practically lives and breathes within contrasts, and for example, Hear Me represents some of the heaviest material that Devin Townsend has released, I would say, since Strapping Young Lad, or at least Deconstruction era. There are thundering drums and pounding blast beats and those kind of screeching leads before we go into the final section where there's this bellowing guttural growl, but then we're moved into why. The entire opposite of what we've just experienced, which, if anything, sounds like The Greatest Showman. And there are some absolutely fantastic moments of orchestra on this album, and they almost steal the show at some points. Though, for those that are worrying that there may not necessarily be enough prog, Sprite's kind of fairy tale opening definitely sees to that. Whereas the music is kind of focused on this arpeggio and effect-driven main riff, there's later on that cinematic element of the orchestra which comes in to really embellish the overall song. Importantly though, the album feels like a journey, and there are sections where in one song you'll go from Cannibal Corpse to John Williams' Indiana Jones, and then you've got the bouncing rhythms of Evermore, which for me recalls the ideas of Addicted and Epic Cloud, you know, those more positive sounding songs. Yet Empath is just as self-aware as it is blissfully ignorant, and just as ostentatious as it is minimalist. It's a perfect representation of the eternal conflict that always goes on within Devin Townsend's creative mind. These multiple universes of possibility that are always vying for Townsend's attention at any one time. Yet instead of sounding like a convoluted mess, every single section of this album is mapped out perfectly. Let's take, for example, Genesis. In one track, there is so many different genres and different ideas put together, but it works. For example, you've got the musical section. Then it goes into possibly the fastest drums ever, and we're into that proper heavy metal. But then it goes into an almost circus-like sound. Then there's total peace. Later on we return to these swelling female vocals, which are absolutely fantastic. Then it goes into disco, and then you really get to what Devin Townsend's Empath is. Not content with the standard way of creating an album, working with not one but 3 different drummers, Anup Sastry handled the more prog elements. Then you got Morgan Agron, who has previously worked with Frank Zappa, who handled those more kind of really out there jazz sections. And then he got Samus from Decrepit Birth to handle those crazy metal sections. So you know every single person is perfect at their job, and it only makes the record better. There was also Mike Keneally on guitar, who served as not only an instrumentalist, but as someone that Townsend could kind of vibe with and really think about the overall song structure and where he might need to go, as seen on the documentary. And then also Nathan Navarro on bass, who absolutely smashes it. Not to mention the album was produced by Nolly. You know, like, I'm not even going to go into the guest spots because they're just insane the whole time. But most importantly, you can hear each member's taste and their own feel, but it never dominates the song or sounds out of place. However, for me, I think the star award goes to the Electra Women's Choir and the fantastic Spirits Will Collide, is a showcase of just how beautiful this choir is. But then that also brings in the Lord of the Sound, which are, without a doubt, some of the best orchestral arrangements I think I've ever heard. And like I said, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And they'd give John Williams' orchestra a run for the money. Every time that the Lords of the Sound appear, sometimes it may be, you know, they're in the spotlight and they have kind of the center stage. Other times the orchestra is pulled back, but still there nonetheless. And it makes for such a cinematic experience. Singularity is the 23-minute magnum opus that ends the album and really does showcase all of these different ideas that have been put forward on each of the other tracks in one well put together package. Me trying to describe this record doesn't really do it justice. This is an album that you have to listen to in one sitting with no other distractions, and quite simply is the perfect representation of Devin Townsend. This is Devin Townsend's masterpiece, and it's just as brilliant, mental, metal, pop, avant-garde, new age as anything that you would come to experience from Devin Townsend. And as it stands, definitely my album of the year. So without a doubt, I'm giving this record a 5 out of 5. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out all my other videos, live reviews, interviews, all sorts of good stuff. Drop a comment and we can have a chat. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for another album review. Alright, take care friends.